Every morning before the sun even rose properly, Mama Comfort would wake up, tie her wrapper tightly, and light her charcoal stove. Soon, the smell of hot akara would begin to move through the village, soft, warm, and tempting. By the time the first rooster crowed for the third time, people were already standing in front of her small wooden table. Give me 10 akara, add pepper, keep my own before it finishes. And Mama Comfort will smile and say, let everybody calm down. Akara is not running away. But the Akara was always running away. Because before 9 a.m., everything would be finished. Then in the evening, when the sun began to go down and farmers returned from their farms, Mama Comfort would appear again. This time with roasted corn, hot corn, very sweet corn. Corn so fresh that people said even the smoke smelled delicious. Soon, people started saying, if you don't buy Mama Comfort Akara in the morning, at least buy her corn in the evening. Her business was booming. And in a village where everybody saw everybody's movement, nobody could hide success for long. By the time the next market day, people started talking. One woman whispered, do you know how much Mama Comfort made yesterday? And mother said, I heard she sold 2 whole baskets of beans. A man under the mango tree said, I heard she has bought a new goat. Another one added, goats? I heard she's already planning to build a shop. But nobody knew the truth. But that did not stop anybody from talking. By the end of the week, some people were no longer looking at Mama Comfort or just Mama Comfort. They were looking at her like money had grown legs and was frying inside her pot. That was where the trouble began. The first person to lose focus was Baba Shola, the tailor. Baba Shola had been sewing clothes in that village for almost 20 years. He had sewn wedding outfits, church clothes, school uniforms, even burial ashrebi. But one hot afternoon, a customer came to collect her blouse. She found Baba Shola outside his shop, washing beans inside a big bowl. The woman stared at him. Baba Shola, where is my blouse? He did not even look up. My sister, come back next week. Next week? The wedding is tomorrow. Baba Shola lifted the bowl of beans and smiled. I have sewn enough clothes in this life. I am fine apparel now. The woman opened her mouth, then closed it. Because what do you even say to a tailor who has abandoned needle and thread for beans and corn? The next morning, Baba Shola opened his Akara stand right beside Mama Comfort's own. His signboard was written in charcoal on cardboard. Shola Special Akara and Corn. The first day, people bought from him just to see if the thing even made sense. By afternoon, the whole village heard that Baba Shola's Akara and corn was actually not bad. That was all the village needed. The second person to fall was Brother Wale, the barber. Brother Wale had one small barber shop near the road, the kind of shop where men came to cut hair, argue about football, and pretend they were not gossiping. But when Brother Wale saw people lining up at Brother Shola's Akara and corn stand, something shifted in his spirit. The next evening, 3 young men came to his shop. Brother Wale, cut my hair, please. Brother Wale was outside roasting corn, still wearing his barber apron. He turned the corn slowly over the fire and said, hair can wait. Corn is hot now. The boys looked at each other. One asked, so you are not cutting hair again? Brother Wale blew smoke away from the corn. My brother, this light is about timing, and this is corn season. By the following day, half the village had heard. The barber had started roasting corn. Someone laughed and said, and this is your haircut is bad, you can use corn to console yourself. But they still bought. That was the problem. Everybody laughed, but everybody bought. Soon the mechanic began thinking, the bricklayer began thinking, the carpenter also began thinking. Even the teacher, Miss Kemi, started looking at beans with new respect. Within 2 weeks, the village had changed. The mechanic parked two broken motorcycles outside his workshop and put a frying pot in front of it. The bricklayer left one wall half finished and started roasting corn beside it. The carpenter pushed away planks of wood and placed a tray of akara on his workbench. Even Miss Kemi came to school one morning carrying a small basin of this. "Teacher, are we writing dictation today?" Miss Kemi smiled. "After you buy akara." The children clapped, the parents did not. At first, the whole thing was funny. Everywhere you turned, someone was frying akara or roasting corn. The village smelled like breakfast from morning till night. Smoke rose from every corner. Charcoal was burned in every front of shop. Bees soaked in buckets, corn peels covering the whole roadside. Even goats looked confused. But before long, competition had entered the village. Mama Comfort was still selling her akara quietly, but the copycats started shouting. Baba Shola stood in front of his stand and cried, "My akara is bigger." Brother Wale waved roasted corn in the air. "My corn is sweeter." The mechanic shouted, "Buy 3 akara, get 1 free." The carpenter shouted back, "Buy corn from me and I will greet you properly." Someone else added, "My own akara has pepper." Not to be outdone, Baba Shola leaned forward and whispered to his customers, "My beans are from a special farm." Nobody asked which farm, because in the village, once you said special, people became very interested. Then came the secret recipes. One woman added crayfish, another added extra pepper until customers started sweating. Someone mixed coconut into the batter. Another person tried milk. The village old men sat under the mango tree watching everything. One of them tasted the milk akara and said, "This one is confused. It does not know whether it wants to be food or dessert." Everybody laughed, but the sellers were serious. One man even stood beside his pot and shouted, "My akara cures sadness." A widow passing by stopped. "Does it cure death?" The man paused. "My sister, buy 2 first." The village laughed for a whole afternoon. But after laughter came trouble. Because when too many people chase the same money, somebody will start misbehaving. One morning, Brother Wane came to his corn stand and found his charcoal missing. He shouted so loudly that even people at the stream heard him. "Who stole my charcoal?" The mechanic pretended not to hear. But smoke was rising behind his workshop. Brother Wale marched there. "My charcoal is missing and your fire is burning like Christmas." The mechanic frowned. "Is your name written on charcoal?" Before anyone could settle that one, Baba Shola discovered his frying spoon had disappeared. He screamed, "Who took my spoon?" The carpenter said, "Maybe your spoon went to start its own business." People laughed. Baba Shola did not. By noon, one woman accused another of copying her recipe. Another accused someone of stealing firewood. Nobody trusted anybody anymore, and still they kept frying. Then came the price war. At first, akara was 3 for 200 naira. Then someone said 4 for 200 naira. Another said 5. One desperate seller shouted, "Buy 1 corn, get half corn free." People paused. Half corn? How does somebody even get half corn free? But that was how serious things had become. By the next week, people were selling so cheaply that nobody was making profit anymore. They counted money at night and frowned. They bought beads in the morning and cried. Yet nobody wanted to stop because nobody wanted to be the first person to admit that the craze had carried them away. Then one woman, Mama Risi, did the unthinkable. She woke up at 3 a.m. before the moon even moved from the sky, before the market women opened their eyes, before the roosters prepared their throats. Mama Risi turned her wrapper, carried 3 big sacks, and went to the market to be in the front. By the time the other sellers arrived, all the beans were gone, all the fresh corn was gone, everything. The market woman pointed toward Mama Risi's compound. When the sellers got there, they saw bags of beans stacked like treasure, fresh corn filled with 3 baskets. Baba Shola shouted, "So you bought everything?" Mama Risi lifted her chin. "Business is business." But Awale pointed at her. You want to till our market? She smiled. My corn is ready for roasting. Your own can wait till next week. That was when people started shouting. One person grabbed the bag, another held the other side. Someone slipped on corn leaves. A goat ran through the crowd with one cob in its mouth. For a few minutes, nobody knew whether it was a fight, a market, or a festival. And while all this was happening, the village itself began to suffer. A woman went to Baba Shola's shop. My daughter's dress is still not ready. Baba Shola was turning up her. Come tomorrow. He said that last week. My sister, this delayed me. Another man went to Brother Wale. My hair is rough. Brother Wale placed corn on the fire. Wear cap, the man blinked. Wear cap? Yes, until further notice. A farmer needed the mechanic to repair his motorcycle. The mechanic was Friar Akara. A family needed the bricklayers to finish their wall. The bricklayer was roasting corn. Parents went to the school and found Miss Kemi counting Akara money. One father asked, Madam, what about the children's lesson? Miss Kemi said, they are learning business. By then, even Chief Ade could not longer pretend. His roof had been leaking for 3 days. The carpenter who was supposed to fix it had started selling corn beside the palace gate. So when rain fell that night and water dropped directly into Chief Ade's favorite chair, he stood up and said, Enough! The next morning, the village bell rang, gong, and everyone came out. Akara sellers came with oily hands. Corn fellers came with smelling of smoke. Baba Shola came with bees stuck to his sleeves. Brother Wale still had his Baba apron on. Mama Comfort stood quietly at the side. She had not fought anybody. She had not lowered her price. She had not stolen charcoal. She simply watched the village lose its senses. Chief Ade stood beneath the mango tree. His face was calm, but everybody knew he was not happy. My people, he began, I want to ask a few questions. The village became quiet. Who repaired the bridge this week? Silence. Who finished Mama Kemi's roof? Silence. Who taught the children yesterday? Miss Kemi looked down. Chief Ade continued. Who fixed the farmer's motorcycle? The mechanic scratched his head. Who fixed the farmer's motorcycle? The mechanic scratched his head. Then Chief Ade looked around and asked, if everybody is selling Akara and corn, who is left to buy Akara and corn? For a moment, nobody spoke. Then one old man under the tree started laughing. Soon another person laughed, then another. Before long, the whole village was laughing, not because the matter was not serious, but because they suddenly saw how foolish they had all been. Everybody had been chasing Mama Comfort's success, but nobody had asked whether Mama Comfort's work was their own path. Chief Ade turned to Mama Comfort. My daughter, you started this business because you knew the work. You had patience for it. You woke up early. You served people well. That is why they came back. Then he turned to the others. But you people saw money and forgot your own gifts. The tailor nodded slowly. The barber sighed. The teacher covered her face. The mechanic whispered, my own Akara was not even sweet. The whole village laughed again. From that day, things began to return to normal. Baba Shola went back to sewing. Brother Wale returned to cutting hair. The mechanic cleaned his tools. The bricklayer finished the wall he had abandoned. Miss Kemi went back to teaching. And Mama Rithi, she still had too many beans. So for one whole week, she ate Akara morning, afternoon, and night. After that, nobody needed to advise her. As for Mama Comfort, she continued selling Akara in the morning and roasting corn in the evening. Her line was still long, her customers still came early, but now, when people passed her stall, they did not only see Akara, they saw discipline, they saw patience, and the quiet power of someone who had found her own work and done it well. Because in this life, a person can admire another person's road, but if you abandon your own road completely, you may end up lost in someone else's market. That was how the Akara and corn craze turned the whole village upside down and taught everybody that not every opportunity is your opportunity. And that is where today's village story comes to an end. If you enjoyed listening to this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Village Stories Africa, and share this story with someone who loves a good African tale. We share brand new village stories every Tuesday and Saturday, so be sure to join us for the next one.